roundtable is slightly different today and very timely limited. Therefore, I would like to start with a short speaker statements of 30 seconds each. We will formally introduce you after this first round due to the lack of time. I'm hoping for your understanding. We will start with our MEPs of the European Parliament. Mr. Stefanet, could I ask you to please start, and please remember to stay in time. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, and good morning, everybody. Really, I'm honored to open today's event as the president of SME Europe. Dear ladies, since I'm the only man here today, I feel really privileged and blessed. I do believe that expanding women participation in politics, business, and trade, it is not only important but correctly timed issue. I mean, particularly from point of view of European economical recovery. So I'm really absolutely certain that greater role of women in politics, business, and society in general will lead to the prosperity of society as a whole. So I'm looking forward to today's webinar, and I thank you in advance for your active participation. Special thanks to all honorable ladies, my colleague Angelika, and particularly thanks to Srita for organizing everything. Thank you indeed.
Thank you very much. And now we will come to Ms. Angelika Winzig.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Women entrepreneurs play a crucial role in improving economic growth and stability within the European Union. They inspire other women to start businesses and therefore help creating more jobs for women, which ultimately helps in reducing the gender gap in the workforce. I, as an entrepreneur myself, can only encourage others to take the pledge and start their own businesses. For me, it has been the best decision ever. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Christine Schneider, we would like to continue with you directly.
Yeah, thank you so much. Gender diversity benefits all sectors, politics, business, and trade, and because it provides them with a wider talent pool. Having variety of talents can provide a vast difference to productivity. Men and women have different viewpoints, ideas, and insights, which allowed for better problem solving and an increase in business performance. This difference can also help increase innovation and creativity and help to seize new opportunities and challenges standard stereotypes. The EU is facing an unparalleled shortage of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That women makes about 52% of the European population, and one key factor to benefit from equality is the STEM field. We need to empower girls and women to enter STEM fields. I'm a carpenter, and before I got engaged in politics, I studied wood technology. And we talk about challenges for women in engineering. I know exactly what we are talking about. I know how it feels when there are 2 female students, about 160 male students in the auditorium. You need to overcome your insecurity and you must be very committed. Women and girls need to overcome shyness, insecurity, and prejudices. I'm looking forward for a very interesting discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. As moderator of today's event, I would also like to kindly ask Rita Heide for a short statement, please.
Thank you very much, and welcome everybody to this event, and I'm honored to be the moderator. It is all about diversity. It is all about uniting talents, men or women, doesn't matter. And I think we have been discussing since years about, uniting differences, competencies and skills, but I think that we need to come together, work together, implementing all our political, business and trade agenda, because we complement each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Due to our short timeline, I would like to ask Ms. Diaz-Caledron to speak next.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's definitely an honor to be here and discuss a topic that, frankly, I am a strong support of. Well, I think a European Union of equality is an objective that we can all agree on. And removing barriers is something that politicians, business, and trade must all work on together. Many companies do have very strong D&I policies, but continued work is required to ensure that women are fully included and to create a safe and positive working environment to enable people to reach their full potential and deliver personal and business growth. I think we all agree that gender-based violence is unacceptable, yet sadly, it is still endemic in our society. And we are, in this respect, from UBER, very committed to support the Commissioner's work on this issue. Thank you.
Also, thank you very much. Just a quick reminder, please stick to your time. And Brigitte Baumann, Gerweis, you are next. The screen is yours.
Absolutely delighted to be here. I'm a full supporter of getting a lot more women to be entrepreneurs. And my experience in the last 20 years, both being an entrepreneur and investor, is that financing is a big gap for women entrepreneurs. And so my passion has been to how do we get a lot more women to become investors, especially early stage investors, because on average, they tend to invest more in women entrepreneurs and bring men with them. But there's some key barriers to enabling both women to become investors and also for women entrepreneurs to be financing ready. And I will be discussing that later today. And two small things. Equal can be different. So equality does not mean we're going to do it always the same way. And small can be big. So small SMEs don't have to feel badly that maybe they're not all becoming or shooting to become unicorns.
Thank you very much. Lisa Pocasta, please.
Thank you. I'm also very honored to be here, and I agree with everything that has been said. Just I want to add one aspect. What we have seen during COVID crisis is the importance of organized care and the possibility for women to actually take part in economy. So I really hope that after the crisis, we take the good things with us, like the flexibility or the new working methods or the absolutely brilliant new ways of helping with care. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our guest of honor is the European Commissioner, Helena Dalli. Please, could I ask you for your short statement? You are still muted. Yes, perfect.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Good morning. And women represent 67% of the European workforce compared to 79% of men. And the World Bank estimates that there are globally around 9.34 million women-owned SMEs across 140 countries. There are 24 million SMEs alone in Europe. So it is clear that women's contribution needs to be better recognized, valued, and promoted in the labor market and in our businesses. It goes from ensuring pay equity and addressing the principle of equal pay for equal work to encouraging more women to seek employment in male-dominated sectors, as has been said already, to boosting women's representation in top positions. So while the principle of equal pay for equal work between women and men has been enshrined in the EU treaty since 1957, the gender pay gap still stands at 14%.
Thank you very much. It was just like the short little statement in the beginning. And I would like to give quickly the screen to Paola Lingabue to start your short statement, please. Just 30 seconds, and then we continue.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. And my association, FEM Europe, is an umbrella association active in reaching equality in business for female entrepreneurs and aims at a total cooperation with all the existing gender associations. So we are working on that. The more we are, the more we count, as I always say. And to grab just a little bit what Ms. Schneider said, we are working also on younger generation for the STEM matters subjects at school. Thank you.
Thank you all for your statements. We're looking forward to hearing more from you in this discussion. Our webcast is moderated by Srita Haide, delegate, a member of the Consultative Committee on Industrial Change, and Special Representative for Diversity of SME Europe of the EPP. And the opening speech will be held by Mr. Ivan Stefanek, President of SME Europe of the EPP and co-chair of SME Intergroup in the European Parliament. And with this, I will pass over. So please, the screen is yours.
So thank you very much for the support and the technical assistance, and a very good morning to all of you, to Madam Commissioner, to all our speakers, to our diversity conference on a very special topic, very close to my heart, a European Union of equality, expanding women participation in politics, business and trade. So as the title demands, we have diverse speakers from different backgrounds, from various experience, and they are going to share their ideas, their thoughts, and their experience, as well as their agenda. And so that at the end of the conversation and discussion, we can take out some action point for us. And I'm Srita Haide, your special representative of diversity, and I'm honored to take you through the discussion today. So I request now Mr. Stefanek, who is president of the SME Europe, and to give his welcome speech and opening speech. And Mr. Stefanek, thank you for allowing us coming together on this very special topic. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Rita, for these opportunities. I said I really feel privileged and blessed to talk to you about this important topic. I can share with you my personal experience because I spent 20 years in business before I stepped into politics, and I realized many years ago when I was in business working for a multinational company how equality and diversity is very important. I started to work as CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and most of my employees were women. So I realized that at that time they are underpaid in comparison with, for example, salesperson, which was typical position for men. So I was fighting for salary increases and fortunately successfully, but later on I became a general manager of this company, and I tried to mix these working teams, which was a really positive experience. I tried to employ more men as accountants and more women as the salespersons, and it worked very well. So my personal experience is that mixed team worked much better in comparison with only male or only female teams, and this interaction of mixed team worked much better, and such teams were more productive. So different genders simply came with different ideas, and it enriched the whole result and the whole productivity. I see the topic of equality and diversity from two perspectives. First one is that we have to provide to everybody equal opportunities, and we have a lot of programs to do that. And secondly, I see it from equal payment perspective. I see that according to current data, 14% of women, they have less money for the same work, and 30% less pension. So it must be balanced. It is not all right, and we have to come with activities in order to change it. I think also some positive change recently, as all of us during pandemic, we moved to digital world, that we have more opportunities for women, particularly if they can work from home, they can come with productivity, with their own creative ideas. And I think we have to help them also with flexible labor code, which is very, very important in terms of new ideas, in terms of use of potential of women. What is also very important, particularly for new entrepreneurs, new startups, that we have to provide much better access to finance. Recently, we as SME Europe, we organized a survey among entrepreneurs across the European Union, across all countries. And the priority number one was that all the entrepreneurs, and particularly women, they have the problem to access right credit, right capital. So firstly, from European perspective, we have to improve and simplify access to credit. Secondly, we have to build finally capital market union, which will provide much better opportunities, particularly with economies like US economy, which is traditionally built as capital market economy, and we in Europe, we are more oriented as banking economy. So flexible labor code, improved access to capital, I think, and all digital infrastructure which can be improved. I think it can help also to improve participation of women in business, particularly in SMEs, and that's also the agenda of SME Europe we are fighting for. So thank you very much indeed, and looking forward to discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Stefanek. As you said, it's all about achieving good results. So I request now Ms. Angelika Winzig, who is member of the Committee on Budgets and Budgetary Controls and member of the delegation to EU and Turkey Joint Parliamentary Committee, to give her a statement.
Thank you very much, dear Commissioner, dear Mr. President, dear colleagues. I'm a politician and entrepreneur, and even it's difficult to combine both, I love both tasks. Politics wasn't my life plan, it was a coincidence. When I founded my company in 1997, I complained about the many bureaucratic burdens. And I got the advice from an experienced female Austrian politician who told me, don't complain, be engaged and get involved in politics. And I accepted this innovation to political engagement, first in the Chamber of Commerce and then in the National Parliament. And by the way, I'm still an enemy of bureaucratic burdens. Why do I tell you this story? Because we have to encourage women to start their own business and show them that we support their concerns. I'm convinced that it's necessary that female entrepreneurs are also involved in legislative process, because we have already too many politicians who have no practical experience, especially in the field of economy and employment. We need the female voice in business, in politics, and in management. Equality can only be achieved if more women are part of the decision-making process. So let us motivate women to take this plunge. And I said it already, for me, it was the best decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Combining politics and entrepreneurship is something very unique and it's important. Thanks for being the voice and encouraging us also. So we have now Christina Schneider, who is member of the Committee on Women's Rights and Gender Equality, and also member of the Committee of Agriculture, Rural Development, Environment, Public Health, Food and Safety. So it's a very important topic. Ms. Schneider, the floor is yours.
She's actually not connected anymore. I think there must be an issue with her connection.
Yeah, okay. So thank you. So let's move forward. So diversity, as we have been discussing, it's an art of going along with differences, but it is also bringing different type of capabilities, skills, talents together, achieving results and implementing agenda. So when we talk about differences, there is always a negative touch. So let us maybe, try to using various experiences and personalities coming together so that we can complement each other to achieve our goals and objectives. This also means in the European Union context that we are combining different cultures, different nationalities who are also having different approaches. And it doesn't matter if it's men or women. The important thing is that we have the right people doing the right job and implementing things. So we would like to understand now how the EU agenda looks like. And this is my great honor to welcome once more our Madam Commissioner, Helena Dalli, who is taking care of this very, very important economical importance, social importance, and emotional importance topic for us. So Madam, the floor is yours.
Thanks again. And with all these differences which you are speaking about, there is also the difference in pay, and has already been mentioned, the gender pay gap still stands at 14%, and many women work their whole life being paid less than male colleagues, but do not realize this because the current pay settings make it difficult to detect, acknowledge, and address pay differences due to a transparency deficit. 13 member states, in fact, already have some form of binding pay transparency measures in place, which have proven to help progress. But of course, much more needs to be done. And this is why the Commission proposed legislation on pay transparency in the EU, which includes pay transparency measures in private and public sectors, workers to be given the necessary information about possible gender pay differentials when performing the same type of work in an organization, and strengthened rules on remedies and enforcement to improve workers' access to justice in case of suspected pay discrimination, and clarifications of key concepts at the core of the principle of equal pay, and rules on legal representation, the burden of proof, legal costs, and the right to compensation. The aim is for employees to receive information on how their own pay compares with average pay levels, broken down by sex of co-workers doing the same work or work of equal value. If pay discrimination based on gender is suspected, they will be able to make claims for equal pay. I know that small and medium-sized enterprises are worried about the possible burden of these rules. Our goal was to develop a proposal in the most proportionate manner possible in order to limit costs and the administrative burden for SMEs. So the Commission listened to business and employers' organizations and associations when we prepared the proposal. And 82% of these respondents agree that pay transparency measures should be tailored to the size of the organization. This is why small and medium businesses will not have to report on pay or undertake joint pay assessments. They will only be required to provide pay information in their possession already at the request of an individual employee. So for the larger companies then, with at least 250 workers, we are proposing to report annually on any average pay gaps between women and men in their organization. And where these reports show a high risk of unjustified pay inequalities, employers will also have to analyze and remedy the situation together with workers' representatives through a joint pay assessment. But pay transparency will not be harmful for companies, but it will help them. An open and transparent workplace culture will drive inclusion and accountability. Without information on pay levels, gender-based discrimination will remain hidden. Pay structures will remain biased, and women's work will remain undervalued. So pay transparency measures are the start of a process, not the end. They will create a mind shift in the workplace towards eliminating gender bias and discrimination. Gender pay discrimination is one of the many inequalities women face today on the labor market. So be it in politics, business, and trade, women's representation does not equal men's. And we appreciate the progress made, like in the European Parliament, for instance, where women represent 39%, the highest percentage in the Parliament's history. But as ever, we can do better. We can do much better, not just for fair and democratic reasons, but to build a European future where women's representation and contribution to the economy and society is acknowledged and valued equally to men.
Excellent. Thank you very much. This was a great motivation and encouragement for us. And on behalf of all of us, I thank you for taking the time, the valuable time. You have a full agenda and being with us and sharing your thoughts and ideas with us. At the beginning, the statements were really very much important for us so that we can, at the same time, later on compile everything to a message the EU agenda is very clear, madam. So I hope you will be with us for some more minutes. If you allow, then we will definitely get some opportunities asking you questions also. And we are very, very happy that you are there, having a very strong voice for us and setting for equality, but also for women and diversity. Thank you very much. I just would like to ask now, after going through the politics, after going to the EU agenda, and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm also in politics. So I always think that this special topic, politics, business and industry, should go and walk hand in hand. So it is very important, I think, now to go and take some views and insights from the industry and trade. So I request Annabel Diaz-Calderon from General Manager EMEA Uber to share with us her thoughts and ideas on equality, diversity, and women participations. Annabel, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, well, first of all, once more, really honored to be here and appreciated the opportunity to discuss this topic, and indeed in a representation of society, politicians, SMEs, and industry. I think many points have been raised already that are all critical for achieving what I think the goal we all share, which is achieving mechanisms and achieving a European Union in which all systemic barriers are removed and we all can compete for future opportunities in a system that is genuinely inclusive. And companies must play a crucial role in this journey. Again, many barriers have been already discussed. From our point of view, maybe we'd like to highlight two, which are key concerns that we see in our women's workforce. And one is the glass ceiling, and the second one is safety. And we do need concrete actions to address this. And I mentioned already in the introduction, but we really commend the Commissioner for the upcoming proposal on gender-based violence. This is a key topic for our company, for Uber, and we are continuously working on it, and it's a continuous attention area. Actually, our efforts and progress here has been recently recognized by President Macron, and again, we are not accepting any complacency in this topic. And we also need more women leaders. And progress is happening, but we can and we should do more. And I very much hope that the MEPs and the member states will unlock the Commissioner's proposal to include more women on company boards and in general within senior leadership layers in the company. From our side, again, extremely supportive of all the women empowerment initiatives. We recently also became, for example, signatories of the UN Women's Empowerment Principle in the Netherlands, which is where our headquarters is located, and to the EU's Women's in Transport Declaration, which is a great initiative by DG Move. And we are committed to both dialogue and concrete actions. For example, we also launched an anti-harassment campaign last week in France, and we have been working for this with very leading NGOs in the topic. I would like to discuss more about these specific two topics later on, but I definitely look forward to today's discussion.
Thank you very much, Annabel, for your insights. So now let us explore a little bit about the scenario of female entrepreneurship and go more into details into the discussion and understand the startup scenario and understand also the spirit of being self-employed, taking risk by women in Europe or around the globe. So we have with us Bridget Baumann, who is the founder and CEO of Effino and Go Beyond, and these are venture capital firms, and she is an award-winning business angel and encouraging entrepreneurship, not only in Europe, but also around the globe. She is also jury member Horizon 2020. Bridget, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And again, it's absolutely wonderful to be here and to get to share our experiences and be able to see how together we can make big changes. For me, on the entrepreneur side, there's the general topic that I see entrepreneurs, but especially women, have a big challenge of finding financing. And that's already been brought up a little bit earlier. There's two big buckets of things that I see. On the entrepreneur side, and especially women, there's been very good work on getting women to start being visible in the places of traditional financing, including equity. More needs to be done there, and I'm on a task force with the World Economic Forum where we're trying to help that process. At the same time, what I think in anything that we do on diversity is helping diverse thinking and individuals to fit in the current systems, but also to benefit from these different perspectives, to expand the current system, to innovate in the current system. And so on the entrepreneurship side, for women entrepreneurs, I think there's more work that needs to be done on really understanding what kinds of businesses women build, what are the types of financing that best work, and I think hybrid of debt and equity, looking at if there's investors, how to enable them to get liquidity, even if the women entrepreneurs on average do not want to be sold to corporates on average, as opposed to men. So adapting the types of financing and the education around financing. I'm a member of EY's Winning Women as an Entrepreneur program, and I cannot believe how many of us have very nice revenue generating businesses who've decided, no, we do not want money from corporate venturing or equity. It's not, their values are not ours on what we want to do and how we want to grow a business. So there's things to be done on the entrepreneur side. The most ability to change is to get more women on the investor side, which I mentioned in the introduction. And there are two things need to happen. One is women, when they start on average, tend to want to start with smaller amounts, build portfolios because they realize it's high risk, and want to do it together. And we've done some things on crowdfunding. We've done a little bit of things on some fund, but there's a huge, huge gap on how do you get individuals who every year want to invest 5,000 to 20,000 euros to be able to work together, to invest together in very low cost, tax transparent ways, and that the banks will be willing to work with them. So that's a regulatory piece, much more to be done, starting with what's being done with the crowdfunding. The second is also a lot to continue education on helping women more and more who are saying, yes, we want to be able to manage our wealth, whatever wealth we've acquired, and we want to give back and invest in purpose. A lot more education to get those individuals to be able to become business angels.
Thank you very much, Bridget. We will definitely have some other questions for you. So now I introduce you, Paola Ligabo. So you just imagine when we're working on such important emotional topics like diversity, equality, and women participation, we have once the voice of the MEPs, we have the voice of the industrialists, entrepreneurs, and we also have voices of associations who are really fighting for it. And Paola Ligabo is the vice president of FEM, which is actually the Female Entrepreneur Association. And Paola, it will be very nice to hear your words, your thoughts, your ideas.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm very conscious and very concerned about equality and diversity. And I started to be concerned when I was a very little girl. You know, I come from a rather traditional Italian family, and my father was a traditional Italian man, and my mother, on the other hand, was a very modern lady. And I always wanted to make the difference and confront with the international environment. So my mother started to work when she was 11 years old, and by that time she set up a company of her own when women were in a very worse situation compared to what we have now. And I've always been an entrepreneur since 1979. And I could see the difference about how female female-owned companies are considered and treated compared to the male-owned ones. And concerning the gender gap that the pay gap, sorry, that Mr. Halley was talking about, I can see it not from the general entrepreneur's side, but from the professional. I mean, the female lawyers are always asked for discount when they show their bills, and the male lawyers are never asked. This is a very difficult topic, and we can see it in our association. So we really want to make the difference from this point of view and bring it to the European Commission all the problems that affect the female entrepreneurs, and we are working on that. And I really want want is a too strong term, but would like to cooperate a lot with all the other associations, gender associations in Europe. And we started already to take contacts with a lot of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you for this, and always being on the front for us. That's important. So from Italy, we move now on to Estonia. And we have with us Liisa Pakosta, who is the Estonian Gender Equality and Equal Treatment Commissioner. Very important topic. And you have long-term experience raising your voices and taking responsibility on human rights and equality topics. So it's really nice to have you here with us today. So I request for your statement.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and I have really enjoyed all these very important issues that have been raised. So I fully agree with everything that has been said, especially with the gender violence issues, when we now face in Europe, in some countries, when the Istanbul Convention is questioned. So at the year 2021, we are still at the place where we have to put the safety on the table as the very important issue. And that is something that really, I think all the countries in Europe have to do something very much more about, so that the safety issues for women are finally solved. I found it also very interesting, Ms. Baumann-Gervais asking what types of businesses are women building. Really, it might be a difference, what I have never thought about myself. So I really picked it up now as a very important question, especially for Estonia, where we have the highest gender pay gap in Europe. So it's not 14% in Estonia, it's 22%. And the violence issues, the home violence issues are extremely important. But when we look at the gender pay gap in more detail, yes, we find safety is a part of it. When there is a home violence issue, you are not able to go for equal workforce possibilities, because you are just tackling your security issues. And at the same time, when you have a huge burden of care at home or with the elderly people, again, this is a sticky floor for women. So these huge issues are still at our table. And to finalize my first statement here, I really want to see that everything that we have very suddenly seen from businesses, very good initiatives during the COVID pandemic, like the flexibility possibilities, the again, naming the taxes and the careers, helping to solve very important issues very quickly, the new ways of helping families with care burden that very quickly the states or local governments have organized. It's extremely important for recovering of the economy, that we take the good things with us and that we study more what really has happened and what has taken very many women actually out from the workforce. like closing the kindergartens stops the working possibilities for many women. That is a very important thing. We have to see, we have to underline, and we have to go on with much more better steps. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure there will be some questions to you also. So let us now move on into the panel discussion and make it a little bit more interactive. And I just would like to ask Annabelle, Uber is a diverse company, engage across the globe, working with different cultures, and where you cannot really differentiate either it is a man or a woman, because you need all good talents together. And so it will be very nice to understand that Uber's diversity story. I mean, how are you bringing added value, implementing good diversity agenda?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, first of all, let me start with a maybe obvious remark, but important in my opinion is, I think any company should be a reflection of society. And as you said, we operate globally, we operate in a very diverse environments, and we indeed are working hard for our company internally to be a reflection of the society and the environment we are working on. But to your question about the diversity story of Uber, well, the company was not in a great place a few years back. But the reality is that we have fundamentally changed from when there was a much reported toxic environment. Actually, since our new CEO joined in 2018, we have consciously undertaken to do things differently and better, which extends across multiple dimensions. It's how we work as a business, how we work with cities, how we engage with policymakers. And on the issue of gender equality and diversity specifically, we have moved quite dramatically by focusing holistically on the different levers to increase representation, which are attract, select, develop, and retain. We see that many companies maybe only focus most of the time on the select bucket, but we defend and advocate that there is to be a focus on all the four in order to change long-term representation. And we did a lot of things in the last years. We engage in a thorough analysis with leading firms to help us create adequate mechanisms to actually avoid the pay gap. We have reworked our job descriptions with the goal of increasing inclusivity. We revised performance mechanisms, including feedback, goal settings, bonuses. We have created structured interviews to decrease subjectivity and mitigate bias. We revise where we post our jobs so that we reach a diverse audience of candidates. And we have also significantly worked on transparency around our diversity and inclusion data. We actually report gender representation across different businesses, departments, leadership, non-leadership levels, internal, external, which actually helps employees and the public to hold us accountable for progress. And one important topic is that we are also continuously assessing carefully our culture and what are the behaviors that leaders display and how we talk about this topic or where we put our leadership attention. For example, and it has been mentioned before, but the thoroughness and rigor that we put in our equity reviews for salaries or bonus, which we know traditionally affect women and create a gap. And this is an important point I want to highlight, because what we don't think it works is actions that are not followed through and are not embedded deep in the company, like a training in the void or mentoring in isolation. And it has to be a complete mechanism where, by the way, the visible engagement of men is also crucial, as this is a social issue that involves everyone. And important is, again, we think we have done a significant progress. I'm personally very proud of where we stand right now and how we follow many examples and best practices, but we can and should do more. And actually, the area where we see the biggest impact, and this is connecting to some of the points Lisa was making, is the impact that we can make as a platform. In Europe, the transport sector has only 22% representation of women. And our platform, both in the delivery and in the mobility segment, is also heavily male dominated. However, we believe we can become an important earning opportunity and empowerment tool for women, as the platform gives access to a highly flexible work. And we know women value flexibility in general much more than men. Actually, an IFC study from a few years back told us that almost 90% of women appreciate the flexibility of driving with Uber, as it allows them to balance responsibilities as caregivers. Also, by the way, women drivers report a higher income boost than men when they take up ride-hailing work. However, we also learn from research that as flexibility is reduced through increased barriers to entry, for example, very cumbersome licensing requirements, women drive less with us. So we believe and we advocate that we should be making it easier for women to drive and not harder, because it is hard enough due to other complications such as safety, which is the second key topic. 64% of women say safety and security are the reasons why women do not drive more, compared to 49% of men. We work continuously in developing features such as GPS tracking, in-app emergency buttons, share your trip functions to increase the overall levels of safety, and a lot also focus on women drivers. But the fact is that women drivers see safety as a real barrier to entry. And even when on the platform, we will be more selective in their driving times or in their driving patterns, for example, not late at night or not in certain areas, this will impact directly their earning capability compared to men, and therefore creates another issue. So in this respect, we applaud, we advocate any policies intended to reduce women's safety issues, again, such as the work on gender-based violence, and facilitate flexible work.
Thank you very much, Annabelle. And let me move now on to Bridget Baumann. So Bridget, how can we encourage women to contribute more to the social economy by developing enterprises, businesses, creating jobs? And what should the EU, according to you, do more to motivate women to take risk?
So I think building on what Julika just said, one reason, if you look at a lot of women who become entrepreneurs, flexibility and being able to live their values, which includes usually that you can do good while you're doing well. On average, many individuals say, first you earn all your money and then you'll see how you contribute your movement for a better world. For many women, they find that in the traditional employment areas, it's very hard for them to do both at the same time. Once they become an entrepreneur, then they can do much more. That often means, though, that if we look at the kinds of businesses that, again, as I mentioned, on average, women build, because many of them have not had technology backgrounds. Many of them start becoming entrepreneurs later than men. There's fewer of them who actually do it once they have, let's say, a PhD from a university. They often go work for several years, and it's a time of reflection that sometimes comes either at child when they start a family, or, for example, in my case, I was an entrepreneur for a number of years, including being part of helping create Expedia. And but at some point, I was doing incredibly well from a career point of view, but it was outside of the career that I could live my values. And so there's also many women who in their early 40s who become entrepreneurs. Now, because of often of their background and because of such a big drive to live the values while building a business, they tend to put a lot of their personal money to test the waters, etc. And they're less on a mind of, okay, right away, I'll raise money and I'll go for the big or bust. they take, in a way, a slightly different route, again, on average, versus many male entrepreneurs. So in order to, but then statistically, and I think there's been lots of statistics now that shows that actually these businesses tend to be even more capital efficient than startups in general, have a higher chance of success, breaking even, hiring individuals, but many of them don't necessarily go to extremely high growth. At the same time, they lose a lot less money for investors. So given that, I think that, again, as I was mentioning before, it's important for those who are building technology-based businesses who want to go for big versus, or bust, that they are able to have the better tools to participate in that part of the economy, of the startup tech economy, including financing. And that's been very well documented of what needs to happen there, which has been also documented that it's important for them to be able to pitch, for example, in a lot more diverse environments, whether it's early stage or venture capital or private equity stage, including also when there's exit. But the second thing for these individuals is really to adapt to the types of the businesses that they have. So they're not micro businesses, they're truly SMEs. They do want some equity, they do want some debt, they do want to be able to give money back, but it might not be in a traditional exit of IPO or a trade sale. And so the second thing is really enabling those individuals to be able to have access to a broader range of financing, and a lot of accelerator programs have a lot of implicit biases built in them. They're very, back to what we're talking about flexibility. Many of them, if you're not a startup within less than 2 years, you can't come in. If you can't give up your life, and they pride themselves as 24/7 for 3 months, you're out. If you can't just travel and go somewhere else because that's where it's going to be, you're out. So there's a number of things that help entrepreneurs in general. And what's too bad, they're wonderful programs, they're wonderful things, and they're very recent, but they bring even worse sometimes implicit biases than in the corporate world, who has become more conscious in the recent years. So those are the two things that are very important: helping them compete when they are tech startups, and then helping the system to adapt to a very strong types of entrepreneurship, but which look different. I don't think, do I have time to talk about the investor side or not?
Please continue.
Maybe a few, okay. So what I was talking about on the investor side, there's quite a few women who are thinking of becoming entrepreneurs, or who will stay and work professionals, and now have a certain amount of wealth. And there's a huge, if you look at fintech education, there's a much higher percentage of women who are welcoming fintech through transparency, etc., and who want to learn. And they also want to now better understand how the money they've made can, instead of savings, because savings are out, you can only make money by investing, how they can make sure that their money also is going towards the values that they have. And so there's an amazing opportunity to both educate and get the women, as long as they don't put more than 2 to 10% of their net wealth, into purpose-driven entrepreneurs in a way that is not for donations, but is truly that they could make money. And that can open up to education and investing in other asset classes in the whole financial markets. But for them to do that, as I was mentioning before, they get two big hurdles. First of all, a lot of investing communities are geared for men who have time. So it's exactly the wrong hours there. It's communities where you show how much money you have, even if you don't invest. They want much more learning communities, communities where they can invest in groups, where they can start with small amounts, but they don't want crowdfunding, and they don't want traditional funds. And right now there's not the legal framework for them to do that, and also for banks to embrace groups of 20 women who say, listen, we're going to invest together. Can you open up a bank account? Almost impossible. The banks are not dealing with that. So for those individuals, not only do they need the existing places that offer angel investing, learning and investing, but also for them to technically be able to do the kind of investing they want. And then together they help the entrepreneurs, etc. And their returns, because Go Beyond is the only platform where we have actual returns of angel investors, not self-reported. Women are doing at least as well as men, especially when it's a diverse team. And over time, they invest at least as much as men who have equal wealth, but they want to do differently. And for women entrepreneurs, when there's at least a few women in the audience who are investing and who will be supporting them, it's a whole new beginning. I'm very passionate.
Thank you very much. This we can all feel it, the passion, across the screen. So I think I will come back to you. It said something important is that, taking risk and creating business. What's also important, I think, that we need to have also some plans for creating micro business, because many ideas are getting lost every day. And I think there is something where we have some work to do. So let me come back now to Paola. Paola, after going through the opinion of the MEPs and the politicians and the parliamentarians, entrepreneurs, startup, what is the agenda of FEM actually?
Okay. Thank you for asking. Yes, we are very concerned about the obviously female entrepreneurs problems that we tackle every day. So we are concerned about, of course, violence, because we had a lot of cases of our entrepreneurs killed by their husbands or partners or whatever. And maternity and the care for the elderly, as also Lisa Pacosta said, because yes, it's all within these ladies. We have to tackle all these things. And from one side, let's say that the normal, in brackets, employees, female employees have a sort of protection from that point of view, because the laws also in Italy, they have some advantages and they are recognized, but the entrepreneurs, they face the same problems of the female employees, and they have no ways, no helps, no ways to get let's say funds or whatever, or helps for the care of the elderly. And I saw the comments in the chat that they are talking about 2/3 of women are in charge of the care of child care and school care and everything, and only 1/3 of men. We have obviously to change the mentality, the overall mentality, and we will need some more generations, I'm afraid, at least as far as I see what I see in Italy, for example. But we have to work on that, because this will be to the advantage of everybody. So coming back to my female entrepreneurs, the access to credit, as everybody said before, Brigitte was talking about it. That's very true. A female-owned company doesn't get as much trust from the banks or from the investors to bring about their aim, their goal, their work. And this is another problem, because we are facing it everywhere. All the countries that are involved in FEM, which are at the moment Austria, Germany, and Italy, have the same problems with these female entrepreneurs, I see. Because formerly, before joining FEM, I thought that it was only an Italian problem, but I realized that it's not like that, because everybody is facing the same. So we are talking about 100,000 in my association, female entrepreneurs in the 3 countries. And this is a very big problem. We would like to have some solutions also from Europe about these problems, because yes, we want to work on all these topics also with the other ladies, maybe the ones that are in the panel, why not? We can start talking about that. I would really appreciate it. So this is mainly our concern. Then, of course, business opportunities must be the same for the female-owned companies as the men's-owned ones. So this is also another topic. Best practice exchanges, we started already with other associations and to find business opportunities all through Europe. Because I'm very concrete usually, and I try to find a way to give solutions and find solutions for every problem. So we are working also on those topics for business opportunities all over Europe, and we need to really confront it to each other.
Thank you very much. I think it's a very good task, and the agenda is good, and it's a challenge, of course. And thanks for keeping the flag always flying high for us. So let me now come back to Lisa Pacosta. We are realizing that in this phase of pandemic, the women are facing a lot of challenges. You know, homeschooling, home office does also mean that we need to have good childcare, parental care. Unifying our personal, our private, professional agenda has always been a challenge. It's still further challenging nowadays. So what is your experience? Is Estonia doing something better according where we can learn from? What is your observation?
Thank you. I think one thing that is good now in Estonia is that we have not seen women leaving workforce because of childcare, which has happened in some other European Union countries. And that is mainly because our childcare institutions have been kept open, even now when we not only have the highest gender pay gap, but we also have the highest number of COVID whatever it's called, the highest number of per 100,000 inhabitants. And this is not affecting those women who are already who have kept the work, which is very important. But at the same time, we see, and I haven't studied the statistics from other EU countries yet, but in Estonia, people who have left work because there is no more work there, it's mainly young women. So the highest proportion of jobless people are now among young women. During the last crisis, it was young men. This time it's young women. And it's very much, I think, what we have to study also from the previous economic crisis, that we have to have more gender-specific help available, because maybe these far-right movements that we face today are somehow related with the depression of young men we saw from the last economic crisis. So maybe we can be more clever and not to see depressed young women in coming years, because tourism, service sector, it's everywhere what has been hit by the COVID pandemics. There is one more thing that is a little bit, I think, positive in Estonia, and that is that now the state and also the companies are really facing that work-life balance is something that is important. It is important for the mental health. It is important for the general health, but it is also important that also these people who have this care burden, and which was very exactly said, it's 2/3 out of women, but only 1/3 out of men. And this is, I think, something that has to be investigated all over the EU, why it was women who in distance learning situation got the feeling that we have to take care of our kids and the schoolwork. Why? And why did fathers say that, no, let's the school to take care of it? So why this stereotypical difference was so huge. We saw it from media from Germany, Italy, France, nearly every country. And why it happened that women got that feeling that they have now to take so much time off from the work, from the investing possibilities, from going to long meetings in the evening, even if they are in Zoom. And why didn't fathers and men have the same feeling? Is it related to education? Is it related to gender stereotypes? I think there is a huge connection between what was said about the investing, taking the risks in investments. So why fathers risked that the teachers at school are pretty good to take care of the children's study issues, and why women didn't have that feeling that, okay, let's risk, I'm going to work on and my kids will take care of themselves. So I really look forward to get the economy better in Europe. We have to know more why in all the cultures in Europe there was such a huge difference during this pandemic. And this is, I really hope that the European Commission would start some study project, because we have to know this. It's such a huge issue.
Thank you very much for your comments. I think you are already covering some of the questions which has been asked on the chat. And I just read one from Anthea McIntyre. She wrote that I have spent 30 years, both before and after being an MEP, running small businesses. It's very important to encourage women into STEM subjects and into business. However, in recent lockdown, 2/3 of childcare and homeschooling has been provided by women and only 1/3 by men, as you said. Would the panel like to comment on how we can relieve the pressure on women and help them progress in business? Any comments on that? Maybe Bridget or Annabelle or Paola?
I would just like to add that the public services for taking care have to be there. So yes, this is like a very important question. You can't close the kindergartens.
Yeah. Okay.
I would like to reply to the subject of encouraging women into STEM subjects. For example, in Italy, we have a project that is called Digital Girls, and we are offering high school students, only female, 1 free month of university course in coding or software developing and so on. And so that they can get familiar with this, with these subjects, because, for example, the families don't see the future of their daughters as, let's say, software developers or whatever. And we have to consider that most of the jobs in the future will be concerning that, because it's transversal to any sector. And we are running this program for 8 years, and from the beginning we had 50 high school students, the first version, and now we have 2 sessions of 60 students each, so 120, and we had a raise in attending STEM universities since then of 3 points, which was in the past 12% of female students in STEM universities, and now we are at approximately 15, and it's going to grow. So this is just from that point of view.
Thank you very much, Paola. And I have a question for Mr. Stefanek, who is the president of the SME Europe. And I just would like to say something that since 2000, I mean, women on board is a very hot topic now, okay, everywhere. And so in 2012, the European Union Parliament also passed this bill, and it is still, you know, the Council hasn't passed the bill so far. So because each and every member state do have a different approach and a different perception on how to go along with this. So how can we, or is there any chance of having one day a unifying agreement, statement, law for all women across the EU?
Well, I'm a great believer, honestly, to improve participation of women in society, but I'm not sure if we can get there via administrative decision, via quotas. I'm very open about that. I'm a believer that we can do it via significant improvement of conditions for women, for managers. We can do it via promoting positive examples of successful women. I think we can do it via education. We have talked already about education. We have to improve education and to give positive examples even to students, what is possible, how women can be successful in doing business, also in politics. I think, and also legislation is very important. Let me comment also the question which was put in a chat about current difficult situation for women, that 2/3 of childcare and homeschooling has been provided by women. It's the serious issue. I fully agree with the comment, I think, by Paula, that we have to change mentality. I fully agree. But also, I would like to add that we have to change legislation also, that we can provide also paid childcare for fathers as well, not only for mothers. We have to equalize the position for men and women. Some countries have done it already pretty successfully. And I know about many fathers who would like to take care about children, but simply because of economical perspective, rather mothers stay at home. So we have to change also legislation. That's very clear. Let's change, let's be more aggressive in this, change legislation, but not push it, this role of women in management and in the society, not push it via, let's say, pure administrative decision, but by education and by positive examples.
I agree. I understand totally the challenge behind it, but you will understand that this is a topic which is always discussed. And I think what you said on the parental leave for fathers, from Germany, in Germany, it's already implemented, and many organizations and companies, they give the feedback that since fathers are taking the parental leave, when they're coming back, they are a different personality. They have a different level of motivation, taking different level of assignments and contributing in a different manner. So I think that's a very important topic. So I just would like to understand that, because we have also been discussing about, you know, collaborating in terms of education, exchanging in terms of education. So Annabelle, I just would like to understand, you as a global organization, are you working closely together, developing entrepreneurial talents, female talents, collaborating with universities, academic exchanges?
Yeah, maybe if you allow me, I would like to comment on the last point you made about parental leave and legislations, etc. Well, regardless of legislation in our company, again, which is sizable and operating, as you know, in many geographies, that's already in place. I mean, women and men do have exactly the same right to take a maternity or paternity leave when they have a kid. And actually, what I can tell you is fathers are taking that leave. It is, you know, a fantastic measure. We get fantastic feedback from everybody, because indeed it's equalizing the conditions and how, you know, this whole topic is actually naturalized. It's not anymore like, I mean, women have a kid, also men have a kid, and that means certain obligations, and, you know, all of them are collaborating for that. Actually, it's also helping women that have the mothers, the corresponding mothers, to also be more comfortable returning to their work responsibilities, because if they can actually schedule that one of them takes the first 3 months and then the other one takes the second three months, and then with that the child care responsibilities of the kid is extended in time, and the parents feel more comfortable, and women do not give up in their job, because again the fathers. I strongly recommend this is considered by companies, and of course if supported by legislation even better, but definitely support that is considered by companies. And then to your point about the education, absolutely yes, we collaborate in many fronts, and we are actually have been collaborating with different associations, Technovation, etc., for incentivizing, I'm aware of time, incentivizing women entrepreneurship, what it was commented before, closer to STEM jobs, to technical, making basically science, technology, etc., more closer to very early stages of education and to girls, with examples and actually with fun work that the girls can do. But indeed remains an issue, and it is still interesting to see. I am actually an engineer by education, and when I actually talk to the engineers university today, for me extremely surprising to see that in 20 years, the percentages, frankly, have not moved a lot. Although women in universities are, much more represented than before across all sciences. So there is definitely something here to be working on, continue to work on, and continue to show, as it was mentioned before, positive examples and collaboration, and making this again a real opportunity for women and for their development. Sorry, I think I went over time, but yeah, thank you very much.
It's fine. Thank you very much. Is there anything that you would like to comment? Otherwise, this is the time. If you have anything you would like to share, you have now a minute or two. Otherwise, I would like to wrap it up. I leave it up to you. Paola, Brigitte, Lisa, Annabelle. Okay, so if I think about diversity, and if I think about equality, if I think about women, I think I have a profile. I'm combining everything together. So my personal experience, born and brought up in Calcutta, educated around the globe, in America, in Europe, living at home in Europe and Germany since 27 years, being an entrepreneur and a politician. So each and every day, I'm learning about, how we can achieve more for women, for diversity, for equality. So the important thing is that having people like you, personalities like you, learning from your experience and your achievement, your thoughts, your ideas. And this is really the strength of networking that we need to increase more in a more strategic way, unifying politics, business, industry, startups, each and every sphere of life, and together. And the important will be that we have taken definitely different notes from all your thoughts and ideas, and we will develop an action point, a checklist, so that all we discussed today, all which came up today on the table, is not only a theory and will just get lost, but we need to take it to the next level. That is the most important thing. That is the level of motivation for us today, for the next generation tomorrow. And thank you very, very much that you are here today, taking your time, and have a lovely, lovely day and a weekend later. Let us stay in touch, stay connected. And that is the most strength that we get from each other. Thank you very much.